Alright guys, welcome back. Today we have a little bit different project here. With all the rain that we've had this year, the weeds and the grass have been catastrophic here on the farm. And I didn't get to weed whack. Usually I'm weed whacking a lot of this stuff earlier in the year. Just didn't get around to it. So now what I have are weeds that string will no longer cut. So I figured I'd do a quick overview of this weed whacker that I own. This is older. This I bought back in 2007. So it's not old, but this is was a very expensive weed whacker. This thing here wasn't your typical. This is more of a commercial. At least that's what the salesman told me at the time. It is an Echo. SRM-311S, and what I like about this and what was the selling point of this was it doesn't have a flexible inner drive in there. This is a solid steel drive shaft with splines, which makes it real nice. It doesn't really stall it or have any issues with it. It's a heavy-duty commercial weed whacker. For as fussy as I am with my equipment, this thing was used and abused over at the other farm, and now here. This poor weed whacker has been in a flood. It's been underwater. It has been run over by a vehicle. My brother backed over it. There was a period of time when I had some dirty gas in there, and actually it would still run, but it wasn't working right, the carburetor. So I would just, lazy mechanic, of course, you don't take the carburetor off and clean it. You just run it with the choke on. And that was about a year of running it with the choke on, and it finally cleared itself out, and I never did have to take that off and clean it. So yeah, this thing has been through the ringer already. A couple modifications, like I said, lazy mechanic here. The fuel for the trigger here to give it gas, that trigger had broke when my brother ran it over, and I had just stuck a drywall screw in temporary, just figuring it was going to be temporary, and it's been in there for years now. So I do like it. I do love it. This thing has just been indestructible. It always starts and it always works. Like I say, from 2007. Now, basically, the only maintenance I've done to it is a new air filter every once in a while. I do believe in air filters and stable in the gas. But I have used this in the winter. And the reason I've used it in the winter, because I have an Echo saw blade here. So what I'm about to do for today, I have some weeds that are just out of hand. They're out of control. I can't cut it with string. I've used the biggest string. This machine has been through several cutting heads already. The one that's on now I'm not a fan of. It's an actual OEM Echo head, trimmer head, and it's just not heavy duty enough for what I'm cutting. Like, I'm cutting stuff that's way too big for a weed whacker. Should be using a rotocutter, but so I'm going to put this blade on. It is a little bit of a job here because it has a steel guard that you're supposed to put on. You've actually got to take the screws out of the trimmer guard, put the screws into this. Then there's a so it's a little bit to change it, nothing major, but yeah, I figured I'd just showcase this Echo commercial weed whacker. I was glad I bought commercial because it has been heavy duty. I did take care of it probably the first 3-4 years I owned it. I was very fussy with cleaning it off, and somewhere along the line I just thought, this thing is pretty good, and I just I don't know. It is how it is. This was about $500, which is pretty expensive compared to what you can buy in your big box store. I think the Echoes at like Home Depot, the most expensive one I saw in my local Home Depot was I want to say $299, $399. So, but this has the solid drive shaft from one end to the other with the splines on it, which makes it a pretty heavy-duty rig. I don't know the cc's of the engine, and it doesn't say it on it. It's close to 50 cc's. So yeah, it's been a great machine for the farm, and gonna use it today. So I'll come back with you. What the heck, I'll film how to do this. Most guys know how to do this. They give you a pin here. This is the original one that came with the weed whacker. Just goes in the side here into a slot. to help lock the head, and then it's usually a left-hand thread. It's not on there too bad. So then we just spin it off. Like I say, I'm not a fan of this trimmer head compared to what I had. What came on this originally is no longer available. It was such a heavy-duty head. It was so much heavier, and the heavier the head with the heavy string, it tends to cut a little bit better, I found. But this here, it's a little light, and it doesn't hold that much string, and I cannot use the very biggest string that they make. So being that it's not available, I have to try to find another company that makes a good head for this. So yeah, that's all it is to get it off. Alright, so I got the guard removed, no problem. Screws came right out because I had put anti-seize on them a couple of years ago. There's like a little gearbox in here. There's a screw on top here that you can put some oil in if you want. This does get incredibly hot when you're using it for a while. But what I want to do now is clean off all of this grass residue. Do a little service on this thing because it has been a while. You can see there's a little bit of oil there leaking out of here. I have put oil in this little gearbox, so let me get this cleaned up and start reassembling. Alright, I can't express my love for anti-seize enough. These screws that I had to take out to change this, we now have the steel guard on here. I don't think I've put this blade on since about 2009. So all those years from 2009 to 2018, all that wet moisture and wet grass and slop, even with the anti-seize on from 2009, came right out, no problem. I always said when the world, if the world comes to an end, there's two things that are going to be around: toilets and anti-seize. So anyway, we got this bushing to put back on. Make sure it's clean here, and slip it over the splines, and it's not real hard to put this blade on. Goes on there like that. Then they give you this extra bushing to help clamp the blade. Then they give you a nut. I'm pretty sure it's going to be left-hand thread. Then I have to get a socket. I want to tighten that nut down, and then they give you, I still have these in the kit when I bought the saw. I still have all these little cotter pins. So let me tighten this down. Blade probably could be sharpened, but we're not cutting trees. I used to cut small saplings, multi-flower rows, all kinds of stuff with this blade. Probably could use a little sharpening, but we're just going to be cutting some woody brush today. Alright, so we got it on. This nut that clamps this blade on, it is not a castle nut. This cotter key basically is just kind of a safety. If the nut backs off, theoretically, this cotter key is supposed to keep your blade from flying off and doing any kind of damage. The wrench they give you in the kit, this little spark plug wrench, not real good. I like to use the regular socket to tighten it down really well. So it should be done, should be ready to go run this and try to get rid of some of this brush. But before we go out and run it, I want to take this little screw out here and put some oil in this gearbox. If I remember right, this was stripped because, well, I say this thing has had a rough life. It's not very accurate. It's just been used. It has been well used, and vice grip should be enough to get it out. I have done the maintenance on it. I don't want anybody to think I'm just beating it up. And you know what? That is grease. If I remember right, I put the tip on the grease gun to get it down in there, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get any oil in. Let me root around in there with the pick and see if I can't get some oil in. Alright, I managed to get about 3 pumps of oil in there. 4 pumps, so that should be good. I have to find another machine screw to replace this so I don't need the vice grip every time. But we should be ready to roll here. Doesn't need to be real tight. It's basically just a screw that keeps the oil in. Alright, let's go cut some brush. Alright, so what I'm after is that goldenrod there. There's a tree there, this bank here in front of the barn. I try to weed whack it once a year. This year I've done it twice already, except for the stuff that was too big to cut with the string. So I'm hoping the blade is going to take care of it, and I'm hoping I put this blade on the right way too. Hopefully it's going to spin that way. If it spins this way, it should go that way. So it does have this heavy duty carry strap on it, and I have used this. This is amazing. It's like a lanyard or whatever you want to call it. It's balanced right there, and takes a lot of the weight off your arms when you're doing it for a couple hours at a time. So it's got an on-off switch right here, and put the choke on because it hasn't run in quite a while. Primer button is underneath, and I need 2 hands to start the thing, so I'll come back with you. All right, take 2 here. I did in fact put this blade on upside down, so it's spinning the wrong way. So let me redo this. All right, now we're going the right way. I did not lie when I said it has been a while since I used this blade, and it shows. All right, so it doesn't take very much RPMs to make this blade cut well. I'm even cutting some grass here. That's a little too stringy for the weed whacker, but even though this blade is a little bit dull, this kind of stuff it's great for, so I'm gonna keep at it here. All right, so I managed to knock down the woodier stuff. The string trimmer should be able to take care of this grass and stuff. I catch my breath. Somebody had said that I'm putting on a show, being out of breath all the time, showing how busy I am. No, I'm out of shape is what it is. I'm not trying to say I'm overly busy. I am way out of shape. But anyway, I got a lot of this woody stuff knocked down. Looks a little rough here. It's going to rot in the next couple days. When it softens up, I'm going to come back with the string trimmer, and then I should be good through the fall and into the winter. Just ran out of time with all the rain. We did have a cold front that I was going to go out and do it when it was 60, and it rained. So all right, guys, thanks for watching. There'll be more to come. Stay tuned. I'll see you guys later.